सारी जन्नत में रसूले अज़ली लिखा है, सारी जन्नत में रसूले अज़ली लिखा है, डाली डाली पे अली और वली लिखा है, सब पत्तों पे हसन और कली पर ज़हरा, सुर्ख फूलों पे हुसैन इब्ने अली लिखा है। सारी जन्नत में रसूल अज़ली लिखा है, डाली डाली पे अली और वली लिखा है, सब पत्तों पे हसन और कली पर ज़हरा, सुर्ख फूलों पे हुसैन इब्ने।
Believers and unbelievers, and may his choicest blessings be on the seal of his prophets, the last of his messengers and his holy progeny, and in particular may his incessant blessings ever continue to flow on the 12th successor to the holy prophet, on the Imam of our current times, Imam al-Asri wa Zaman, Ajjalallahu farajahu. Yesterday we started our discussions of whether in these times it is possible to meet the Imam alayhi salam, and truly if he is there and he is in existence, we should have some evidence of some people who have met him, at least on serious occasions when they have needed serious help. And we saw how that was accomplished in various ways. For example, we saw how a person who was in sickness that the doctor said could not be cured, how a person who was in dire means of funds, how a person who, because of his having lost his way from the ziyarah of Imam Rada alayhi salam, found his way, and as did the person coming from Hajj. Indeed, that last example we saw is reported on the authority of Sayyid Muhammad Taqi Majlisi rahmatullah alayh. So in reality we have moved from the times of Sayyid ibn Ta'awus alayhi rahmah, which was the Harkali case, right down now to Allama Majlisi alayhi rahmah. So you can see we covered a span of time during which there is evidence of these meetings. And I propose to continue further from there today, again with an incident reported in Biharul Anwar by Allama Majlisi alayhi rahmah. And that again now is in recent history, times when Britain had colonized Bahrain, and Bahrain then was an imperial colony. At that point in time, the British had appointed a Sunni as a governor of Bahrain. Although the vast majority of the population of Bahrain were Shias, yet they decided to appoint a Sunni as a governor. And this Sunni governor appointed another Sunni as his minister. Now, both of these were in essence and at heart against Shias. They were anti-Shias. More so the minister than the governor, but even the governor was anti-Shia also. One day, the minister went to the governor and said, these Shias are absolutely on the wrong path. The governor says, we know this, but what is there to be done? He says, no, I've got proof that they are on the wrong path. And he produced a pomegranate. On the pomegranate was written, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Khulafa'u Rasulillah. And he said to the governor, look at this. This is a pomegranate that has grown in my garden. Here is proof from nature. This is a natural fruit that has grown. And nature is providing evidence that the four Khalifas after the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny were Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman and Ali, contrary to what the Shias claim. Hence, there is now proof from natural source that they are wrong, and hence I think you should execute all the Shias. Either they should be converted to Sunnism, or if they want to remain Shias, you kill them, or if you do not kill them, then they should pay a jizya. They should live in the Muslim state as non-Muslims and pay the jizya tax as non-Muslims do. The governor found that extremely useful. Here was a weapon in his hands now. So he calls the leaders of the Shiite and tells them, look at this. I've got complete proof. Naturally grown pomegranate. And that says that Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali were the Khulafa of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his progeny. And not as you claim. Hence, you are obviously wrong. As though a pomegranate can be proof of faith. As though pomegranate can provide proof of who the true Khalif after the Holy Prophet was. Even if there was a pomegranate of that nature. However, he used that as absolute proof and gave them the three options. He said, well, now, the first option, which is your best option, is that you all convert into Sunnis, and then the whole of this Bahrain is of Sunnis only. Or, if you do not want to do that, then we'll kill you. Unless, thirdly, you agree that you live as non-Muslims and pay jizya. Well, the Shia leaders had no answer, because the pomegranate was there. They got baffled. They said, look, this is not right. There is something wrong about this, but we cannot say anything now. Give us 3 days time, and we will give you a reply within 3 days. The governor thought that was fair. They were not asking for a long time. 3 days was not an unreasonable period. And he said, very well, I'll give you 3 days. Give me a reply within 3 days. They met the same day, naturally. And they were desperate. They had to find a solution within the 3 days that was given to them. And when they met, they said, now how do we find a solution? Here is this naturally grown pomegranate. And so they unanimously came to the conclusion that there was only one living person who can help them, and that was the Imam of the time, Ajjalallahu Farajahu. And hence, they decided they would select 3 of their most pious and most learned scholars and ask them to go and supplicate to the 12th Imam alayhi salam, pleading to him to come to their help and find them a solution to this problem, with the total faith that the Imam alayhi salam will not leave them unheeded, will not leave them unhelped, and aid will come to them in good time and effectively. That was their inner utmost faith. So the first night, the first alim went, prayed the whole night, supplicated, pleaded to the Imam alayhi salam, recited all the supplications that we know ought to be recited on such times in invoking the help of the Imam alayhi salam. And inshallah on Sunday night I shall revise these few du'as with you in the limited time at our disposal, but at least we will give it a glance. We may not deal with the du'as in detail, but at least I will remind you of these possible du'as that we have. Did all that, nothing happened. The second day, the second alim went. Nothing happened. The third day, the last night now, the third alim went. And he too supplicated and pleaded, recited all those du'as and did the amals. Nothing happens until the crack of dawn. At the crack of dawn, he suddenly finds a person on a horse coming close to his prayer mat. because they were going outside the city into the forest to carry out these amals and supplications. So when this horseman comes, the alim gets a feeling, this may well be my imam. So he gets up to receive him. And the horseman greets him, he replies the greeting. The horseman says, why are you here? What is it that is troubling you? Are you in some problem? And he says, well, who are you? And the horseman says, I am your imam whom you are calling. So he says, if you are my imam whom I am calling, you will know exactly what my problem is. I don't need to tell you. So you tell me what we should do. And he immediately says, yes, of course I know your problem. And you need not be worried about this at all. Be in total peace. Nothing will go wrong with you. And you will succeed at the end of this all. But what I suggest is, tomorrow morning your time expires, so you go to the government house, meet the governor, make sure the minister is there. And when the minister is there, tell the governor you will not reply him unless the minister is present. So he will be obliged to call the minister. When the minister is here, tell the governor that you will not provide him any answer except at the house of the minister. But make sure of one thing, that you and the governor get to the house before the minister gets to the house. Make that a condition with the governor, that the minister must not go to the house before you and the governor reach the minister's house. That's a fair condition, and he should accept it. When you reach the house, then take him to the terrace. In the terrace, there is a niche of a window. Get to the niche. In the niche there is a basket. Open the basket, and the basket will provide proof of what fraud he has committed with regard to this pomegranate. But once that proof is found, don't leave things at that. Then tell the governor to ask the minister to break open the pomegranate. And at that stage, Allah will provide conclusive evidence of the falsity of the minister, and that will totally convince the governor. So carry this out, and all your problems will be solved. So saying, the person disappears completely. He is totally out of vision. But the third alim, his name was Ali bin Muhammad, knew very well that was his imam and provided him a solution. So he goes back to the people and says, this is the answer I've got, so let's go to the government house. They went to the government house. When they got to the government house, the governor was there, and they laid the condition that we will not speak to you unless the minister is here. The minister was called over. And then they said, we will not give you the answer here, we will only give you the answer at the house of the minister on condition that you and us reach there before the minister gets into the house. And the governor says, that is fine. That's a fair condition. I will see that satisfied. The minister comes. They go to the house of the minister. They go to the terrace. Now when the minister comes and that condition is put to him, he opposes it. He tells the governor, why should that be so? If they have an answer, they can give you the answer now. Here is the pomegranate. So why should the answer not be given here? The pomegranate is not at my house, it is in the government house. So they should give the answer here. No reason why we should move over to my house. The governor said, look, I am not going to quarrel about the small thing, whether the answer is given in the government house or at your house. They want to give it at your house. And this is a serious issue for them. And the consequences that I will lay to them will be serious. I will oblige. I will agree to go to your house. After all, it's only your house. We'll go to your house. So the minister made all efforts all the way to get into the house before the governor and the Shias got in. But they prevented him quite successfully. And I believe quite strongly that the Imam ﷺ had a hand in that too, in helping them prevent the minister from getting into the house first. They get into the house and go to the terrace. And when they go to the terrace, indeed, there was a niche of a window. They get to the niche. They get to the niche with the governor, and they indeed, as said to them, there was this parcel there, this bag. They open the bag, and lo and behold, what does the governor see in the bag? When he takes this out, he sees 2 molds. And on the molds were written exactly these words: La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Abu Bakr or Umar or Uthman or Ali, Khulafa'u Rasulillah. When the governor saw that mold, he got baffled. Because obviously that mold was put into the fruit. As the fruit grew with the mold in it, the fruit took the inscription on the mold onto its skin. And now you have the skin of the pomegranate reading what the mold was reading. And when the governor saw it is as clear as that, he turns to the minister and says, what is this mold doing here? But the Shias intervene and say, oh governor, the story is not over yet. That is not our complete answer. Our complete answer will come when you give this very pomegranate to this minister and ask him to break it open. And the governor knew that there is something more now hidden inside this pomegranate. There wasn't. What was hidden was something else. It was hidden by Allah, glorified and exalted. So the governor now, his spirit having changed, turns to the minister and says, yes, you break it open, let's see what it contains. And when the minister broke open that pomegranate, lo and behold, a gust of smoke came out of that pomegranate. You don't have that in a pomegranate ever. Gust of smoke comes out, and in such enormity that it all got onto the face of the minister. The minister's eyes, nose and complete beard were besmeared with that black smoke, and he looked a completely black entity standing there. The governor was extremely displeased with the minister and immediately issued an order that this being a minister who has misled the governor to the extent that lives of so many citizens would have been lost, or they would have been subjected to an unfair tax, ought to be executed immediately. And upon the orders of the governor, the minister was executed. Justice was done to the Shias in a most miraculous way. And we have always known that when we are oppressed in that way, there is always that hand that protects us, that hand for whose help we can supplicate. And the fact that he is in ghaibah matters not, because from behind those clouds he is able to extend his hand of help so as to reach it to us in a way that gives us complete succor and complete salvation. Those words of that gentleman who was riding with the Imam alayhi salam when Harkali met, turns to him and says, you have obtained your salvation. Indeed, the people of Bahrain, in the same words, obtained their salvation. Until today, they are there in Bahrain. They are Shias observing their faith to this day, and inshallah will until they are able to join with the 12th Imam alayhi salam on his zuhur. Such are the examples that keep flowing, and inshallah it is my intention that we keep flowing with the time until, because we are already now with Allama Majlisi alayhi rahmah, we have already come to the 10th century since Hijrah. But he not only helps in matters of faith in this way when the entire community is involved, he helps in matters of faith in various ways. Our ulama today rely on him for help when they really are stuck and they do not know certain answers. Who knows matters of faith better? Who knows the interpretation of the Holy Book better? Who knows what are the true ahadith from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him and his progeny, better than him? So they take opportunity to approach him in various ways. We'll look at some tonight. Inshallah, if time permits, we'll look at some tomorrow night to see how they obtain help from the 12th Imam alayhi salam, and more important, how that help is given to them in a way that is wholly efficacious. And in this context, I would like to discuss that hadith of Muqaddas Ardabili. Ardabili was one of our most leading ulamas. At the risk of taking a few of your minutes, and I will make it very quick, but this background might help you to appreciate the piety of this person. It is said of him that once in winter, he needed, and he, of course, as you would imagine, would always be up for Salatul Tahajjud, for what we call Namaz Shab. And once in winter, when it was bitter cold, he got up but discovered that he needed to make a ghusl before he recites Namaz Shab. And in those days, there were not the kind of heating facilities that we have. So he goes out into his open courtyard, opens his well to get the water out to make a ghusl, because he only had enough water, as always, for wudu. And what he finds is that when he gets his basket out to get his water, it is full of pearls. He sees pearls, he sees diamonds, and he turns round, he raises his hand and says, "Oh Allah, what do I do with these pearls? What value do these pearls and these diamonds have for me? What has value for me is the salah that I want to recite and worship you. Worshipping you is my value. These are no good to me." And clears it out altogether, saying, "I don't want any of these. Oh Allah, get me the water from this well." And he sends it down again, and this time water comes up. So he takes that water, and with that cold water makes his ghusl and performs his Namaz Shab. You can see the level of the piety of this person. The world mattered not. Its jewels, its pearls, its diamonds mattered for nothing. What mattered was his serving his Lord, his worshipping Allah in the manner taught by the A'imma alayhimus salam. You can see that when a person reaches that level, he has his own degree of respect with A'imma alayhimus salam and with the 12th Imam alayhi salam, ajjalallahu farajahu. Well, once he got troubled with questions of jurisprudence which he could not resolve, and all his efforts, he could not get to the hub of these questions. He could not find clear solutions and answers to these questions. And he knew too well in the heart of his heart that if he did not know, the only person who surely knew was the 12th Imam alayhi salam, and that he surely is in existence and he is with us. So all he had to do was to get to him, and his problem was how to get to him. But he said, if I cannot get to him, I have Hazrat Amir alayhi salam next to me in Najaf. I'll go to him. And it was already small hours in the morning. It was already 2 a.m. But he was so troubled by these questions. He could not sleep. He could not be content. He decided, I'll go to Haram now. The Haram would be closed at that time, as you know. But he went. He went. As he entered the Sahan, a student of his called Amir Alam was up already studying, because the next day he was going to have another dars from Muqaddas Ardabili, and so he needed to be up that night to study, and he was up only for studies. Suddenly, as he was studying in his room in the courtyard, rooms that we discussed about last night, he hears steps in the sahan, in the courtyard. So he gets up, opens the window to look outside, and there he sees Muqaddas Ardabili coming into the haram, crossing the sahan. So he quietly closes the window and says, this is mysterious. Why should he be here now? And what will he do? The haram is closed. So he decides he will spy on him, because he is then sure he will learn what he would otherwise would never have learned, because Muqaddas Ardabili would never tell him why he is there for that kind of hour. And that was unusual for Muqaddas Ardabili also. He quietly comes down, and now Muqaddas Ardabili is already reaching the portico. So he quietly follows him, and follows him in a way in which Muqaddas Ardabili could not see him, because he was sure that if he would see him, he would say, what are you doing here? Are you spying on me? Get out from here. I don't want you within my sight. and he would have had to obey his master. So stealthily he was following Muqaddas Ardabili. Muqaddas Ardabili was already reached the portico. Now he wanted to see how will the door be opened, because as you know, getting to the portico is easy. But then the main door of the haram has a padlock on it. You just can't enter the haram at a time that it is closed. And he finds that Muqaddas Ardabili goes to the main door. That is where we always stand to recite Idhn Dukhul. We seek permission to enter on that first gate. That is the first Idhn Dukhul. There are two Idhn Dukhuls. And he finds that all that Muqaddas Ardabili does is, he is reciting something which he could not hear because he was reciting in his heart, and points a finger at the padlock. This is all he does. He points a finger at his padlock. The padlock opens. But as you know, it is not enough for the padlock to open, because it still sticks to the door. And having opened, the padlock drops to the ground. But even that is not enough, because the door now has to open. And the door opens by itself. And Muqaddas Ardabili enters the haram. Truly, that haram is not controlled by the key keeper of that haram. It is controlled by Hazrat Amir alayhi salam himself. From that shrine, from his grave, he controls the door of his haram. He is not dependent on the key holder, the keeper of the keys of the haram. We hear of the keeper of the keys of the haram, and recently for the last 2 years we have repeatedly heard of him, both of the haram in Karbala and the haram in Najaf. But we know what others perhaps don't know, that the true authority does not lie with that keeper. He only has that metallic key. He does not have the real key. And it is the real key that can open when his key may not open. And indeed, his key may turn and may not open if the real key orders it not to open. Muqaddas Ardabili proved that beyond question. The door opened, he enters. The moment he enters, Amir Alam says, I managed to creep on so that I can see what is going on next. But he missed a little, because the first door was being wide open. By the time he got there, the second door had already opened and Muqaddas Ardabili was already inside. But what happened was that when Muqaddas Ardabili entered inside, both the doors got closed. Amir Alam was told that the door is open only for your master, only for your teacher, not for you. So he knew his place and he remained outside. But now, because the doors were closed, he could get very close to the door, and with his ears inside, he could hear the voice of his master, because he knew that voice so well. Day in, day out, in these various studies and various dars that he got from the master, he was so used to the voice that he was able to identify it. But I'm not worried about that, because there was nobody else there. So the voice that he heard had to be of his teacher. However, he heard the voices, and then the voice would be silent, and he would not hear anything. And then again his master's voice would be heard. He was convinced that his master was asking questions. Some reply was coming from the Zari, which he could not hear, but his master could hear, because then the master proceeded to give his response to that answer. The situation was beyond doubt, but he got only half the story. To me, that was enough of a story. We're grateful to him for that much. And suddenly he hears the inner door open, so he runs away from the outer door and hides himself again behind the wall. And you can imagine, if you have been to that haram, you can see exactly where he would have hidden. And may Allah, this is the occasion to pray, may Allah give us the opportunity to get to Najaf as soon as possible, so that we can perform that ziyarah peacefully and safely. Years now that we have not been able to go to Karbala and to Najaf, but Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu Farajahu Inshallah will help us get to those spots as soon as possible. So Amir Alam hides himself and finds that Muqaddas Ardabili now comes out of the haram. Having come out of the haram, he goes out of the sahan also. Amir Alam said to himself, this is not the end of the story. I'll follow my master. I'll see where he goes. If he's going to his house, fine. I'll reach him to his house and get back. But I want to see exactly how the story ends. He finds that old man did not go to his house, but he walked from Najaf to Kufa, which is not a small distance. He walked all the way, and Amir Alam gradually followed him back. Now it was easy to follow him and hide himself at a good distance. And the alim with his turban and his abba was not easy, it was not difficult to spot at all times. And he finds that he gets to Masjid Kufa. The main door of Masjid Kufa would be closed at that time. But Amir Alam says, I did not see how that got open, because by the time I got there, he was already in the sahan of Masjid Kufa and the door was open. But I saw that he crossed the sahan, and as you know, from that Babul field, you cross a good distance of that sahan to get to Maqam-e Zarbat, as it is called, Maqam-e Shahadat. That's the place where the Imam alayhi salam was murdered by Abdurrahman ibn Muljam. May Allah's curse ever be upon him. So he also gets into the sahan, and now he knows exactly where his master is. So he hides behind the door of this Maqam-e Shahadat, and it's quite a distance from the door to the mihrab, because according to Amir Alam, the Imam, his master, his teacher was at the mihrab of this Maqam-e Shahadat. And he saw that his master is talking, is making gestures, he's speaking. He could not hear the voice because of the distance. But he certainly knew that he's conversing with somebody. But it appeared to him that there was nobody there, that the master was almost speaking to himself. But he obviously was speaking to someone, because he would speak and make gestures and then pause and then speak again. So Amir Alam was sure that he was speaking, and what he became absolutely sure about is that he was speaking to the 12th Imam, Ajjalallahu Farajahu. But that, whilst his master had the privilege of meeting and seeing and speaking to the Imam, he did not have the privilege of seeing the Imam alayhi salam. However, a time came when Muqaddas Ardabili stood up and with greatest reverence bid farewell to whoever he was talking to and began to turn. Amir Alam said, I hid myself again and I left him to come out, because if I had come out earlier, he would have spotted me. So I left him to come out first, and he continued to hide. Can you imagine how mischievous some of these students can be? There is a limit to the mischief students can play, even on Muqaddas Ardabili, even on a person of that level. However, good for us. We have benefited out of it all. He allows Muqaddas Ardabili to leave the sahan, because as you know, the sahan is so wide and it's so open. The moment you turn, you can see, and at that time when there are no other people, you can see straight into Maqam-e Shahadat. When he comes to Babul Field, then he is able to run. So he ran to catch up with him, and he saw that he is now moving back to Najaf. So from Kufa, this old man is now making his way out to Najaf. As Amir Alam was following him, by chance, Amir Alam thought it was to his misfortune. It turned out to be good fortune. He had a cough. He tried to stop the cough and did his best to stop the cough. But in stopping the cough, and this happens quite often to us all, in trying to stop the cough, he coughed all the more. And he coughed now openly and with a noise. That noise, and Muqaddas Ardabili turns behind to look at who is behind him, who is coughing. Sees his student, and he says, Amir Alam? And Amir Alam now could not hide his identity. That mischief did not go so far as to lie to his master and not respond to him. So he immediately says, Labbaik. Says, yes, I am in your attendance, oh my master. He says, what are you doing here? He thought it was too late to lie, and he thought it was all wrong to lie. And he says, look, my master, I'll tell you the truth. I cannot lie to you. I saw you coming into the Sahan when I was studying, and I was studying for the dars of tomorrow, because you are going to question us. So